Hello and welcome to Red Devils Advocate. I am Sean, joined by
Andy, also known as Black Amora on Streamcast.
today. Today. This is a podcast about Manchester United. We are the Red Devils Advocates. And Andy, why are you a Manchester United supporter?
Because I'm a 90s boy. I grew up in London, so you either supported Arsenal or Man United. No, all jokes aside, I'm a second generation Man United fan. So my dad was a Man United fan growing up in Sierra Leone, and often in time, oftentimes like you just pick one of your parents' favorite teams. So while I was watching Man United, I connected with a player called Andy Cole, and he was a bad boy striker. People need to put respect on his name when they talk about all-time great strikers. And because he was so sick, I was like, yeah, this is my team. So those are the two reasons. My dad supported Man United, and Andy Cole was the main number 9, putting balls in nets. How about you, Sean?
For me, I was going to joke and say roughly the same thing about you either picked United or, United. No, no I have a similar reasoning to you, also second generation Manchester United fan. My dad actually did grow up in a time where it was either Arsenal, Tottenham, or Manchester United to support. And there was only one other boy in his I don't want to say orphanage because it isn't an orphanage. Basically, he lived in a home, and
Right.
there was only one other boy who supported Manchester United, so they paired off together. And throughout my entire childhood, he taught me all the history from Sir McBusby to the big downfall as well when we got relegated, and I don't know. I liked and appreciated the struggle that United went through to get to where they were at the time of my young age, and I just stuck with them ever since.
Oh, nice. Obviously, a lot of people who are in their 20s and 30s now might not know that Manchester United did get relegated because it's often the recent glory years that comes to mind. Obviously, all of my lifetime, I've grown up on Sir Alex, so he was Manchester United for me. And it's really interesting to see how both United fans and outside other club supporters have reacted to United's up and down nature, we shall say, post Sir Alex.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I had the same childhood that you did with the United fan, but I feel like people don't really understand that just because a team can or is doing well, it doesn't mean they can't do really badly for a period of time after.
Yeah,
Like, if you look at Liverpool, the time that United were doing really badly in the 70s and 80s, Liverpool were clearing up all the titles.
yeah.
Like, that's why there was such a big rivalry there between us and Liverpool, and them still claiming to be the greatest team in England, even though titles from back in the day don't count for now.
Not really.
They're not a Premiership title; they were a First Division title.
But yeah, that's a very good point. Obviously, you had the decades of dominance from Liverpool, and I tend to find that a lot of people born in the 70s and 80s would either pick Liverpool or their local club. And a lot of people born in the 80s, 90s, and noughties would have picked United or their local club. I think that's kind of just how it goes when you're a big club, when you are a global force like a Barcelona or Real Madrid, you are going to have fans that aren't local, and that's just the way it goes.
Mm.
So yeah.
It's funny you say that though. Obviously, my dad now being 71. Obviously, he's grown up through the good times, the bad times, and actually realizing himself how global Manchester United actually is. Even back in the 60s and late 50s, he was meeting people from all around the world just coming to see Manchester United. Like, a bit of a controversial topic. My dad had never even seen a person of colour until he was the age of 9.
Oh, wow.
And the fact that in his teen years, he went to a football match to watch his home, well, it's not his home team because he lives in London, but his boyhood's team. And to be surrounded by people of colour who said he didn't even know existed up until less than a decade beforehand. It kind of shows the reach that Manchester United did have, especially in that time. Obviously, being one of the first English teams to even go into Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And football has come a long way since then. We've got people from all over the world playing for the English clubs. But there was a very big threat to the season that we've just had. Do you want to go into that a bit more?
I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Right. So the sport that we all know and love took a big hit in, I think it was March.
Yeah, it was mid to late March.
So everywhere around the world was being shut down, from the countries in Asia to countries in Europe, and it hit the UK. Workforces were devastated, and the football season came to a halt. People weren't going outside of their houses for no reason, and it really made us think, is this season going to be voided? Because we did see Ligue 1 voided. We saw the Dutch league cancelled, and it was quite surprising to see that the Premier League went ahead to resume and finish the season, which it did.
Unfortunately.
It's always going to be a bit of a weird one. Like, yeah, you won the league, but with no fans. The question is, do you think that the coronavirus is going to have a permanent effect on the state of football?
So, obviously, everyone's hoping for normality to resume, and you have the 50 to 70,000 plus people in the stadium again. But with the risk of the unknown and the fact that this virus did come out of literally nowhere, and the effect it had within a few months, the possibility of things like this happening again in the future may be slim, but it shows that they are possible.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just disregard the fact that this has happened, and you're going to have to realistically keep the health and safety procedures in place. Like, it may affect your budget in the long run. Obviously, having no fans is going to have a massive effect on being able to buy or sell players, because you've got no money to get them. But I feel like for the safety of the sport itself and for the fans, it's something that they are going to have to actively reinforce to make sure people can eventually go back there safely and you can enjoy the sport. That you're not supposed to be able to not go to a football match.
Right. Yeah.
I'm assuming you've been to football matches yourself.
Yes, I've been to a few.
Yeah. The how do I say it? The feel when you're actually there, present in the time, there's no other feeling like it.
Mm.
Like, you can feel the camaraderie, you can feel the rivals between you and the corresponding fan. It's just something there that even if you are from a different team, like it still brings you together, and it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
And they need to make sure that that can happen again.
Yeah, I think that was very well put. I think for the short term, this is going to change football as we know it for basically 95%. As you say, for the fans, it's very weird not being in a football stadium when you know your team's playing. And I know people may not admit it, but I know that having both sets of fans arguing and chanting against each other kind of does something, you know. It gets the adrenaline pumping. It's that big fight feel, and it's going to be weird for the players and the managers because some players like to have that home field advantage where if the opposition has the ball, they're getting booed and it's kind of rattling them, or they like to hear the roar of the crowd once they've scored a goal, and it's not organic anymore. And that's going to be weird, and that's going to take some getting used to. But I think it is a miracle that we've got football back at all. We've had several shouts of just cancelling the league, and that would be nice in an ideal world, you know, just write off the rest of the season. But TV revenues is a thing. Ad revenue. Every club has lost millions of money. I read somewhere that United lose. It's got to be at least 5 million per match day. I think it might be 50. It's millions of pounds per match game that they're losing because there's no one coming in. There's no one buying food and shirts. So that, again, as you said, has a knock-on effect in terms of the transfer window, which you don't particularly do well in anyway. So I don't have high hopes for this summer.
Especially over the last couple of years. We have been put into bad situations where we've had to massively overspend on players.
Yeah.
And I understand that obviously with the coming generations of footballers, obviously people are getting more skillful. They are winning more medals at a younger age. So obviously their value is going up. But if you compare to like a player like Cristiano Ronaldo, who left Manchester United for 70 million, and Harry Maguire going for the same price. Like if you put the two in the same room and told them to play a sport, they wouldn't be playing the same sport.
Yeah.
You can't compare a player like that. And because the way football has progressed, players like that are now going for that sum of money. The players that you would want in your team. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's a terrible player. I'm just saying in comparison to the same price as Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to afford the players like Neymar, Mbappe, even down to the next tier players like the Dybalas, the Sanchos for us.
Yeah. I think that's a very good point. I think inflation has a part to play in that. I also think that the Premier League, being by far the richest league in the world, has a big part to play in that. Now the clubs like Wolves and Everton are almost on equal footing on teams like Chelsea and United, and it's a bit mad. So like last summer we got Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 50 million. And, you know, if it was in the same time era that Ronaldo went for like 70, 80 million, he would have gone for like 20 or 30 million. So it is a bit mad.
I wouldn't even say that. I would have said maybe 15 to 20. Considering you got the likes of Berbatov for 30.
See, look at that. That's just a fact right there that we saw Ronaldo for 80 million and we got Harry Maguire for 80 million, and they're not the same level, even though they don't play the same position. I have not been 100% convinced that Harry Maguire is the future. And I did actually see a YouTube comment the other day that made me laugh. It said Harry Maguire has played so many minutes he needs a rest, but arrest was spelled ARREST, arrest.
Yes.
If you've been paying attention to the football news lately,
I have, yeah.
He's been arrested. I've read somewhere that he apparently punched a Greek police officer and tried to bribe him. That I don't think happened. But something has happened, and he's arrested. So there's that.
Yeah, from the few articles I saw, something a bit dodgy did happen, but
Yeah,
there's no guarantee of what exactly it was.
yeah. And I actually wanted to ask you a quick question because after Sir Alex, we've had quite a few managers. We've had Van Gaal, we've had Mourinho. I'm sure we had someone else in there, but I can't
We did.
remember.
We had David Moyes.
Oh, that's him. That's the one, the caretaker. Yeah. Yeah, and in Van Gaal's time, we bought players like Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger and Di Maria, but we also bought players like Martial, Blind. We bought players like Fred, and I wanted to ask you which
was Fred in Van Gaal's time?
No, Fred was Jose's time.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you which manager post Sir Alex do you think had the best acquiring strategy when it comes to buying players?
Okay, so buying players, I personally liked some of the signings Van Gaal brought in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was him that brought in Depay.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Depay and Morgan Schneiderlin for me were fan favourites. I liked the work that they both did. Obviously, you can't compare them to the A grade of what we had in the couple of years build up to that. But out of the players that came in, they were sturdy. They did well. When you compare them to Di Maria, who was massively played out of position, a man who is very quick and nimble to run down a wing and put a ball across, you're not going to put him into the middle of the park surrounded by 6 men. It's not going to go well. And it didn't.
It didn't.
Which is why he's now doing better at PSG on the wing again. Well, who am I to tell Van Gaal how to run his team?
Yeah, that was very interesting. He did that with quite a few players. He bought players that he likes their work here and tried to make them do something different.
Mm.
And it's very weird. You trying to get a box. You sign a boxer and you try to get him to do tennis. It's not going to end well.
No. But then you say that, look at Roy Keane. I personally say up there in the top 3 best box-to-box midfielders, and he was a boxer.
Well, I think boxing to football is somewhat of an easier translation. But by far, those are the hardest physical activities in terms of sport I've had to do. Boxing and football, boy.
Yeah. So what about you then? Who would you say is who has brought in the best players for you?
I definitely think David Moyes is at the bottom of that list. Because I think he only brought in Fellaini. I can't believe he gave him the job. Like, he's not even fit to be the janitor at Old Trafford. I can't believe it.
Okay, first, come on. Let's not disrespect the man like that. He was doing well at Everton in the time. Yeah, you can't deny that. Yeah, granted, Everton
I won't deny that.
Aren't a top 4 team, but at the time they were a top half of the table team.
Yeah, he was getting like top 6, top 8 finishes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always translate.
I mean, clearly it doesn't, and it didn't. But let's not say he's not deserving to be the janitor.
I stand by my statement. Come at me. I think because he had the wrong attitude. Obviously, Sir Alex had an aging squad. That was very clear. The last few years of his time were not the best. He knew when to come, step down. He went out with the Premier League title, his title, and David Moyes came in and fired all of Sir Alex's back staff. He brought in his own boys from the second-rate club. He brought in Fellaini, who is a specialist in elbowing people in the air. And what do you expect? You bring second-rate people to a first-rate club, you're going to bring the club down.
Well, it wasn't only just that, though. His entire mindset to the firing and bringing in his own people, it was massively disrespectful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the way he it wasn't just that he fired him. The way he did it is like it was a complete clean sweep, and
Mhm.
then he demanded that the players respected him from that. It's like, well, no, you've just taken away years of history and like essentially the core of Manchester United.
It's a bit mad because like in the corporate world, this happens all the time. Like takeovers happen, and then people do get removed because obviously nepotism, and people have their own people that they want to put in. But like, if you are someone in the company before the takeover, and you're still in the company after the takeover, and you're seeing the new boss like getting rid of people that you've been working with for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you're gonna be looking at the boss like, rah, does this guy know what he's doing? And I heard reports like he made Rio Ferdinand watch clips of flipping Man City players. That's one way not to get respect, fam.
So, like, if you're going to make your players look at clips of good players to idolize yourself on, make sure it's a good team.
Yeah. Well, I think City were just creeping into like the league picture in that point.
So they may have been creeping in, but we still won the title that year.
We were the champions.
We were the reigning champions. So why would we be looking at second or third?
Yeah. And that, like it was just wrong. But to answer your question, I think Van Gaal did bring in some good players. Obviously, he brought in Martial. He did bring in really good players. Kagawa, I think, was his.
Yes.
Schweinsteiger was a few years too late, in my opinion. Schneiderlin was good. Blint was good, and I think he was misused.
I agree.
He brought in Di Maria, which I was very excited about. I don't think I've been excited for an incoming signing as much as Di Maria, and the fact that it didn't work, and he's coming out now with his wife, slating Manchester. It's really disappointing. But I think quite a few of his signings didn't work. Jose Mourinho brought in Fred. Who else did he bring in? He brought in Dalot, who is injury prone and is not getting game time. He brought in Bailly, who's injury prone and not getting game time.
Who brought in Lindelof and Darmian?
Jose brought in Lindelof, I believe, and Darmian was Van Gaal.
Van Gaal, okay.
Lindelof has. I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty good. I think he is missing something to be like a Rio Vidic level centre back, but he's quite talented. But Ollie's been pretty good with the signings. Like the Fia side,
Okay.
Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the second best right back in the Premier League, and the best defensive right back in the league, and you could argue world football. I would say that. Like, I can't say he's better than Trent, but I think he's the best defensive right back. Harry Maguire has solidified us. We've got a crazy stat in terms of clean sheets. And who else has he brought in?
Pogba.
Dan James. Pogba was Jose.
Pogba was, of course. Sorry.
He brought in Bruno and Dan James. Dan James was like a really quick spark in the pan, but he went out quite quickly. And Bruno has been quite the difference. I think without Bruno, we don't get third. So that's a very good signing.
Yeah,
a good signing on his part. It might be recency bias, but I'm going to say Ole. Ole edges it for me.
I can understand why, but I preferred Van Gaal's purchases at the time.
Yeah, no, he's definitely second for me, and I think Van Gaal had 2 seasons, and Ole's got 1.5 now.
I believe so, yeah.
So it might be a bit like Ole hasn't had enough time, so like his signing per season ratio is better in my mind.
The thing is, though, like, because Ole, would be his second or third transfer.
It'll be a second because he came in after the start of the season last year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, 2 years ago.
No, because we had this is his third transfer window.
Oh, window, yeah. I thought you meant like summer.
No. Okay. So this is his third transfer window, and I feel like the money to player ratio isn't worth it for
It's bad.
for
Yeah.
what he's brought in. I mean, he did a very good job with Bruno.
Hmm.
Very good job with Bruno. Wan-Bissaka was a bit overpaid for, but the level that he's been playing, I will accept the payment because obviously he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to cut you off there, but to like add to your point there, I think being solid defensively is quite difficult for a young right back. I think he has a lot to improve in going forward, but we did see some improvement before lockdown. So I think there is a very high ceiling to his potential.
Yeah. But my main issue has just been Maguire.
I know you've missed out someone prominent. I'm like, I wonder who he's referring to. I have not been a fan of the fee. Like, I don't think 80 is enough. I think at max it should have been 60, and that's because of today's market. He's not an 80 million pound player,
No.
and I think the only reason we got him is because Koulibaly was a bit more. But
if you look at it like this, again, okay, this is now comparing to a much closer market. Pogba,
right,
100, and was it 110 or was it 100?
we signed
It's
for
between
90,
that range. Was it for actual 90?
Yeah,
It must have been the
89.
extras.
Yeah.
The extras must have been over then.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're thinking 20 million more. Pogba to Maguire.
You know, Maguire does have good player traits.
He might. Like his in the air game, which is why every time that someone puts across, we lose in the air.
Defensively, he's very good in the air. Offensively, he is terrible.
Yeah.
He has scored maybe a one-headed corner. That is abysmal.
He has scored more headed corners than he has cleared headed ways.
He has this really annoying habit of like dribbling with the ball past Matic into the middle of the park, and he's like, I'm just thinking he's not that good on the ball. You can just about dribble, fam. Like, I don't like that at all in his game.
No, his ball control is very weak. His pace is obviously a massive issue.
It's his biggest weakness.
And the fact that we signed him for strength and in-air ability, and especially the last, was it the last 4 matches of our season, including the Chelsea match in the FA Cup. His in-air play was atrocious.
Yeah.
I said every time someone put the ball across, he fluffed it.
Yeah.
And it's like people use the excuse of, oh, he's tired, he's played too many games. I'm sorry, when you're a professional footballer at that level, you should be able to physically play 4 to 5 matches a week.
Yeah,
if you're training for 5-6 hours a day, I'm sure that in one 90-minute match, instead of that training for 5-6 hours a day, would be a godsend.
I do think that's quite a weak response. Like, you know, the club that you signed for, we have won the Champions League, the Premier League, and the FA Cup in one season in about a window of a week, 2 weeks. We have won the Champions League and the Premier League in the same season before. So the excuse of, oh, he's got to play so many games, 1, is he not good enough then? And 2, that's the manager's fault. Because if your boy is getting tired, rest your boy. And Harry Maguire is not going to say, oh, I'm feeling a bit tired, I should be benched, because obviously that showcases a weak mentality and you might be dropped permanently for that. But the manager needs to use a bit of intelligence there to be like, I think I've overused you recently. I'm going to give who do we have, Bailly, a go and see if he can last 90 minutes.
So in response to that, I feel like, especially from the captain's point, yeah, he should never be using any excuses. But then there's also the problem of the squad depth, and
that's a big problem.
Just don't have that anymore. Like 10 years ago, or even to like 15 years ago, the squad depth was unreal. You could cycle players in and out and still guarantee a minimum of a draw against a top team.
Yeah.
Now it's like you put in our reserves, and not only don't they know how to play with each other, you'd question if they even know how to play the game of football. Like, how has Bailey got himself injured by headbutting, was it 3 different people?
I'm convinced he is that guy in SpongeBob who, like, every morning I break my arms and every afternoon I break my legs. He's made out of glass, man. I don't know where Jose got this guy from.
See, the thing is, when he first came in, he showed a lot of potential. He was very quick. He was skillful on the ball. The partnerships between him and Lindelof, or him and Rojo, they worked well together.
Yeah, Bai was very gifted.
And obviously, there was still room for improvement in those teams, but it showed that he was a growing player who could do more. And over the last couple of years alone, he's shown that he's not even a mid-tier table player, let alone for his actions. But like the injury proneness, you shouldn't have someone like that in a Manchester United squad.
Absolutely. If you are not fit to play, you shouldn't be here. And like, he is very talented. He's very powerful. I think if Bai's fit and Maguire's fit, I'm picking Bai. But the guy can't last a full game. Like, he can just about last games in the Europa League and stuff like that. And that's not what we need him for. We need him against Arsenal in the Premier League and, you know, whoever we got in the Champions League. I think that's just poor scouting there. You can't be signing people with that bad an injury record. Something must have shown up before.
I don't know. But obviously, speaking of like the different players and everything, what do you think we could have done better this season? Do you think it could have been brought in different players, or would it have just been different squad rotation?
There's a lot I think that we could have done better. First of all, I think that the guys upstairs should have given Ollie the funds to sign Bruno in the summer as opposed to January, because we really needed him. It was clear. Pogba wanted to go, and I can't blame him because the fans have treated him awfully. He's not been, you know, the player that we thought he would be, but he has been one of our better players, to be honest. When you're comparing him to guys like Andreas Pereira and Lingard, Pogba has been quite good for us in the midfield. We were very lucky because I heard reports that Tottenham Hotspur wanted Bruno and he would be playing for Jose right now. So we are very lucky in that regard. What else could we have done better? I think that potentially minor things like stripping De Gea of the captaincy wasn't the best decision. I remember that he came out and just criticized the team, and you can't really do that. But I think he has been the longest serving player that could actually play on our team. And he's still pretty good as a keeper. Other than that, it's the obvious that comes to mind, like not losing to Burnley or Crystal Palace. I mean, we did finish third, which is good, and I think statistically we are probably the third best team in England. But growing up, this isn't the standard. We're not used to finishing in the top 3. We're used to finishing first. So that's something we could have done. But we did quite well as well in the same breath. So,
obviously,
how about you? Actually, I would like to know what you think.
Burn it to the ground. No. As you said, obviously, we're used to first. Like, if not first, we're used to a close second.
Yeah.
And the fact that we were... I know that we were like, was it 20 points behind C?
Yeah.
And then God knows how many behind Liverpool.
Yeah. I think we were 10th at one point.
Oh, God. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. It's obviously, as I said, I understand that teams have an up and down period. If you look at the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, even Liverpool, back in our day, England had the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
it was always those four teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, Man City bought their way to a title. Money started getting invested into smaller teams as well, like QPR, Newcastle, Tottenham, and then Leicester coming out of absolutely nowhere to do what they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Like, teams can have their ups and downs, and sometimes miracles and stuff do happen, and money obviously has a big thing to do with that. But at the same time, I feel like with United, the mentality going from Sir Alex to where we are now, they don't care the same way the old players did.
Right.
I feel like social media and money has a lot to do with how players play for a team. And especially with the newer generation of people growing up being told they're always great and they're perfect and nothing they can do is wrong, to suddenly be booed out of your home ground may have a massive effect on your ego. And it's like, well, that's how the real world will treat you. They don't care about your feelings. You're there to do a job. Do your job. You're there to hold up the history of Manchester United, which is victory and doing the impossible. Because even if you look back at some of our players aren't always the greatest.
Right.
Like, if you think of like Wes Brown, Gary Neville, Fletcher, Kieran Richardson, what's his name? Gibson, Darren Gibson. Like,
Yeah.
I remember that the last game, I think it was against Hull that season. The other big teams were like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. He's literally put out his second and partly third team to play this. Oh, it's not fair. If they go and lose, that's made us relegated and this and that, whatever." And we've still gone and won that match. I think we won it by like 2 or 3 goals. And it's a case of even our second to third team players were good enough to be fighting against mid-tier tables. And it's like, if you now think that our first team is losing to teams like that, and even worse on a regular basis, it's not that we have done well, because we haven't. It's what's expected of us.
Yeah.
Yes, we've done considerably better than we have over the last couple of years. And I think the Jose year where we came second, and I'm pretty sure that was the same year we won the Europa League.
No, so we won the Europa League in Jose's first season, and then in his second last season, he finished second.
Okay.
Because then he got sacked, and then we beat PSG.
Oh, that's right. Good old PSG. Going to be playing later on tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it's just not good enough. No matter how you look at it, we had the grace period of coming 6th and 5th and 6th, and it's like, come on, you now have the money, you now have the players.
Yeah.
Use them. You wouldn't look at a side where you have Martial, Pogba, David De Gea. Like, a couple of seasons ago, he was the best goalkeeper in the world, apparently. Where's that man?
That guy gets distracted by the butterflies flying around him, man. I don't know what to say.
Yes. Yeah, that's my stand on it. I feel we need to do better. I'm glad that we finished third. I'm glad we got Champions League football, but it's not acceptable.
Yeah. So, who would you say your favorite player has been this season?
It's a bit of a hard one, because obviously everyone has their favorite players for reasons, but I feel like because of what he's done and how young he is, I really like Greenwood at the moment.
Okay, that's a good shout.
What about you?
So if you had asked me before lockdown, I would have said Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because the way people used to bully our right-hand side in the 18-19 season when we had Young, or Valencia even worse, defending there. And the contrast now to where people are afraid of coming down our right-hand side, or people coming down our right-hand side don't get a look in games. It's a testament to how good Wan-Bissaka is defensively. But I have to consider post-lockdown performances, and he hasn't been great. Brendan Williams hasn't been great post-lockdown. Neither has Rashford. So considering both pre and post-lockdown, I'm going to give it to Anthony Martial.
Okay.
I think he's really come into his own this season. He's taken up the number 9. He's, fought Lukaku and won. I think he's shown why he is the number 1, number 9 for Man United. I think he's a top striker.
He's very respectable. I wouldn't say he's a top striker yet because he hasn't got the numbers to back it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's more down to the way United have been playing, in my opinion. Like, he needs more support.
Yeah, definitely.
But he has done well.
Yeah. Like, for me, I didn't have doubts, but I was like, as you say, numbers, because I like the way he plays. I think the way he plays is like how our strikers should play. But at the start of the season, I was like, Martial, go on and give me 20 goals. If you don't give me 20 goals this season, I can't moan if they try to bring in a Werner or, a Haaland or something. And I think he got 23. So I can't moan. He has, given us the numbers. He hasn't played like Lukaku or, Giroud, who's just, up front all the time. He has come in deep and he has played some really good hold-up play, link-up play. He's probably the most intelligent baller we've got on the team. I've been really proud of how he's evolved this year, and he needs better players around him. He's the star of the team, not Pogba. So I think this season we're going to see a lot more goals if we sign the right players.
So I'd like to address one thing. Please never again compare him to Giroud.
No, I put a not in the sentence. The only circumstance Martial and Giroud are in the same sentence is if a negative word is in the middle of it. And I said Martial has not played like Giroud because Giroud won a World Cup without scoring a damn goal. That guy
won a World Cup without having a shot on target.
He's a fraud. There's no respect on his name from me.
Okay.
I just wanted to put it out there. That's what I don't like my number 9 is playing like. So,
yeah. No, I agree that obviously he is a great player for us, though I feel like Bruno has taken the star away from him, especially since post-lockdown. Most of Fernandez's obviously goals have been penalties, but it's more it's more like the link-up play and the fact that he has been pushing other players to be their best selves. Like, he has been the player that we've missed.
Absolutely. He's got a bit of that ruggedness about him that you would associate with Roy Keane. And I'm not putting them on the same level, but Bruno is the type of guy to put a dirty tackle in when we need one. He is the type of guy to shout at his own teammates when they're not focusing. And he is a fantastic player. I think I don't think he's taken the stardom or the spot. He might have. For me, he hasn't taken the spotlight away from Martial. It's more like they shared it because Martial and Bruno get along. They get along very well. And I think Martial is he's a baller. He doesn't really care about anything else. If you're good at football, he likes you. And if you're not good at football, he doesn't like you. For example, I don't think he likes Phil Jones, but Bruno and Martial, when you watch their games, their link-up play is fantastic. A lot of penalties will be because Martial has been fouled because he's very clever on the ball. And I think that this season we're going to see a lot of fantastic little trickery between Bruno and Martial.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Oh, I actually wanted to ask you a question real quick.
Okay.
I know we talked about him earlier, but Harry Maguire, would you keep him as your captain for the 2020 season?
No.
Okay,
No.
you didn't even let me finish.
No. No. 100% not.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like the sick bucket would be a better captain than him.
See, like you had to go at me for comparing David Moyes to a janitor. You're comparing Harry Maguire to a sick bucket.
Okay, first off, Moyes, look at his CV. Yeah, he's done well as a manager. Granted, he's not a top tier manager. He's never going to be a Ferguson. He's never going to be a Wenger or a Mourinho or anyone like that. But he's done well. Yeah, the fact that he's had job in and out in Premiership teams, you can't say the man isn't a decent manager. You can say Maguire isn't a decent defender. Oh, look, he played for England. Oh, look, we made it to the quarterfinals. Yeah. Look at the standard of football now.
And also, is it annoying that England got to the semis in the 2018 World Cup? Man United got to the semis of the Carabao Cup, went out to Man City. Man United got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, went out to Chelsea. Man United got to the semi-finals of the Europa League, went out to Sevilla. There is a pattern here.
There is.
We have continually lost competitions, not counting England, obviously, to the eventual winner. That's obviously a sign that we are not the finished article.
No.
And I agree. I would take Harry Maguire's captaincy right off, strip it off him, and give it to Bruno Fernandes because he's actually got captain like qualities. He's vocal on the pitch. He can communicate in very clear English, and you need that for an English football team. I think Bruno is the perfect candidate to be the captain next season.
I agree. I was trying to think of a different alternative, but I wouldn't give it back to De Gea after his performances this season.
Ooh. Hopefully we touch on that later, but yeah, he's been a disgrace post lockdown. Disgraceful. Like nah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I mean, clearly that laser eye surgery is starting to wear off is what's happened. So, speaking of next season, do you think we'll get third again? Do you think we'll do better? Do you think we'll get relegated?
You know what? There was a point in last season that I thought United and Arsenal would get relegated. It was around about Christmas, and we were like mid-table.
Yeah.
I was not happy with life. To answer your question, it depends on how ruthless and aggressive we are in this summer window, and it's gonna. I think it closes in October.
Yeah, I think we've still got another 5 weeks left.
Yeah, so we need to absolutely kick the doors off because Chelsea are going to be better next season. They've already got Ziyech for the right wing. They've got Werner. Who knows if he's going to play in the number? He's probably going to play in the number 9 position.
Of course he will.
They've got Pulisic, who's coming in good now. Mason Mount is coming into his own. I'm hearing that they signed Chilwell from Leicester, and get this,
Okay.
I'm hearing the figure of £30 million.
For Chilwell?
Yeah.
Okay.
You remember that guy we bought for more than double that from the same club? I'm just saying, we're not respected.
How old is Chilwell again?
I don't know. He's got to be mid-20s. They've got to be around the same age, no?
I thought he was in his later years than that. Right. Let's have a
23.
Oh, he's young. Wow.
He's
Okay.
mid-20s, told you. Yeah, very young. Got a lot of years to give.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely not respected.
So, I'm hearing reports that Gabriel from Lyon, I think, has signed for Arsenal. So a lot of the clubs around us are actually preparing for this season. If we go into next season with the same players we've got now, the best we can hope for is third again. We're not going to make the jump to second because City and Liverpool are that far ahead of us.
Mm.
And I don't agree with everything Jose has said. But one thing he did say that I agree with, for us to catch up with Liverpool and City, they would have to sign no one, and we would have to sign 2 or 3 players. We are that far behind.
Yeah.
Look at their first team, and then look at their bench. It puts us to shame. Lingard, Pereira, Mata, I don't think they make their benches for Liverpool or City.
Well, they wouldn't. Half of our bench wouldn't. Half of our first team wouldn't even make their bench.
Yeah, you can make that argument. It's like we are very far behind. Those 2 clubs are definitely the best 2 in England.
Oh, without a doubt.
So for us to finish above 3rd next season, we would need to sign Sancho. And we are lucky because no one else wants him right now. No one else can afford him because of COVID-19.
Oh, who did I say? Someone was going in for him, though.
Because Chelsea would have signed him if they didn't get Ziyech.
Oh, I saw yesterday, I can't remember who it was. Someone was actually apparently, unless it was just paper talk, was trying to fight us for Sancho.
That also might be Dortmund trying to like get us to pay a bit quicker.
I think it was an Italian side.
Ooh, I don't see Sancho going there, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
But we need to get Sancho for the right wing. We need at least another player. I'm not sure which positions. I think you have to look for a CDM. Matic is getting on, like he's having a renaissance of a career, but we can't count on him for the next 5 years. And the partnership of Maguire and Lindelof isn't going to bring us a Premiership, I'm afraid to say. It's got us great numbers. We've got quite a lot of clean sheets. But I think their weaknesses don't work. Like
they have the same weaknesses.
Yeah, at least an ideal partnership. One centre back's weakness is covered by the other centre back. Lindelof is weak in the air. Maguire is slow. We can't win a league title with both of these people, and they're really good defenders by themselves, in my opinion. Which one do you replace? That's the manager's headache. But I think we need a centre back. We need a defensive midfielder. We need a right winger. You could argue we need a new left back. So that's 4 players that I've just named.
Potentially even a goalkeeper.
Hopefully we get onto that later, because that is a very big point of discussion. But I think as we stand right now, we will finish 4th next season. How about you? What do you think?
So personally, if we don't manage to sign anyone, I feel it's going to be another reenactment of the David Moyes season.
Wow.
We had exactly the same team that had just won a championship.
That is true.
Yeah, we had, if anything, an enhanced team because at the time, Fellaini was a good player. He was better than Carrick. Without a doubt, he was taller, he was stronger, he was faster. Yeah, if you're comparing him at that time to a basically dying Carrick, he was better in every aspect. Yeah. I
can't believe you put Fellaini and good in the same sentence.
I'm comparing him to Carrick. I do not like Carrick. I have never liked Carrick. He was one of the worst players that we had ever signed.
I don't know.
He scumbagged his way into that United side, and he was carried by the team his entire career.
I think he had a really good pass on him personally, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah, and we ended up, was it 6th or 7th that year?
7th. I'll never forget, 64 points.
Yeah, and that was the same team that had just won first. Now, we've somehow managed to pull 3rd out of our pocket. And the other teams around us are all buying players.
That's right.
And some of these players are great top-tier players. And everyone knows now how United are playing with the team that we have. Mm-hmm. If we don't make any changes, we're going to be playing the same football again. And everyone is just going to look at us and be like, it's these guys. Not shaking in fear like they should at the Manchester United squad of old.
Yeah.
So I think if we don't buy anyone, it's going to be an awful season for us. I'm expecting mid-tier finish.
Oh. He's got to get all he's got to get sacked if that's the case, isn't it?
Oh, if he goes into January in anywhere between 8th and 13th, he has to get the bullet.
Oh dear.
Our opening 5 games, we should get a minimum of 12 points. Minimum.
Yeah.
Even with the team that we have now.
I agree. Yeah. Our fixture list has been tweeted by, the official account, Red Devils Advoc. And the first 5 games, they look pretty winnable. Spurs is the only questionable one, but we shouldn't lose any of those games.
Mm-mm.
Well, I would like to have some fun here with a quick fire round.
Okay.
We're going to do this in 2 parts. We're going to talk about players that we have first,
right.
and then we'll talk about potential players we've been linked with. So, it's going to be simple. I'm going to give you a player's name, and I want you to tell me whether you'd keep them or you'd sell them.
Okay.
Number 1, David De Gea, keep or sell?
I would keep him, but he wouldn't be making my first team.
Oh, rah. This guy's, he's on like 300k a week.
I know. He's taken a massive pay cut.
Part of me wants to say bring Hendo in and just get rid of De Gea, because he's deteriorating. I don't think that this is a dip in form.
See, the thing is, goalkeepers over the years have shown time and time again, with age, they can keep up the form. In fact, some of them can get better.
Yeah.
Now, since the day De Gea came to us, I have been praising all the sun that comes out of every orifice. Right? And the fact that his performance has dipped so badly over the last season and a half, it shows that he has no competition. Romero is never going to get first team football. He's always going to be the cup guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is the reason De Gea has dropped so much. Thankfully, Henderson can come back to us, and the season that he's just had, he will be great competition for De Gea. I think it will, if we had both of them inside, it would spark a fire under De Gea, and he might actually start playing good football again. Potentially, it might mean in a season or 2's time selling one or the other, but it would put a lot of pressure on him, realizing that he's not the player that he used to be, and he needs to fix up to get back into first team football.
Yeah, that's very fair. I think, although I'd want to sell De Gea, I think what I would do is I'd put Dean Henderson out on loan again to a Premier League club. De Gea has a final season to redeem himself. If he has another season like the 1920, he's out. Because Henderson, he's going to want to demand first team football, and we don't want to lose him. That's great potential.
Yeah.
So is that a keep for De Gea then?
It is. It's a keep. It's a reluctant keep.
Fair enough. Number 2, I don't know if he's actually gone. Let me just double check, because this would be mad awkward.
Oh, God.
Okay, he's at this moment still signed, and he's older than I thought he was. Oh boy. Marcos Rojo, keep or sell?
With the current standing at United and the way we want to progress, we'd need to sell him. He did well. I really liked him. He was a bit unruly for what I would have expected from a Manchester United player. But then at the same time, if you look at our past players, you look at Keane, you look at Scholes, you look at Vidic, there's nothing wrong with being a bit rough. but I feel like he didn't have someone to keep him in check, which is why he didn't grow in the way that we needed him to. So yeah, I would get rid of him because we can't have someone like that in a time where we're close enough to actually getting back to our form again.
Yeah. We're seeing now that Oli does have a first 11. And even though beyond that, we are pretty trash, I think it's good to have a stable set of players that know each other, know what kind of football to expect. And they have a philosophy. They have something about them. I don't think Rojo fits in those plans. I've never really been a fan of him personally. I think he's too rash. I think that you're right. There's nothing wrong with being a bit rough. Putting in a rough tackle every now and then, being a captain, being someone that opposing players fear. Keane mastered that. Vidic was a professor in scaring the opposition. I think Rojo didn't have enough discipline for it to work for me. I think he has done more harm than good, unfortunately, for United. And I think he is now essentially a bench warmer collecting his weekly benefits for United. I think he needs to go. Whether we force him out or whether someone, comes and takes him, that's up to him.
Yeah.
So that's a sell on Rojo, 1-1.
Yes.
Eric Bailly, keep or sell?
Sell. We look. Yeah. You send out a team of 11. If you send Bailey out into that team, you're playing with a team of 10 every game. But, you're sending out 10 human beings and a man made of glass. It's literally just a matter of time. Is it the breeze that breaks him? Is it a rough tackle? You don't know, and it's not worth the risk. Sell him, get 15, 20 million for him, put that money towards someone better, bring someone better in.
That was very decisive from you. More decisive than Rojo, I'd say. This one's painful for me because I just love Bailly. He truly enjoys playing football. He is so talented. It's painful. Bailly and Lindelof were, becoming quite the partnership. Bailly is good in the air. He's good on the floor. Players can't mess with Bailly. I remember there was a time where Bailly and Vardy were playing about and Bailly just swung him to the ground. And, Vardy tried to get a bit rowdy. And Bailly was already, going back into position. He's very good. And he could afford to be a bit undisciplined because he was powerful. He was centre-back. But you are right. If we can't rely on the centre-back for 20 games at minimum, you can't play here.
Yeah.
You can't be the guy we wheel out every time we want to play flipping Coventry in the Carabao Cup or something. That's not good enough. It's not. So it is with a heavy heart that I would sell Bailly too. So that's 2 for sale, 1 for keep. We're getting rid of the deadwood in the places, ain't. Now number 4, Diogo Dalot. Are you keeping or selling?
Okay, so this is a very difficult one. Before Wan-Bissaka came in, I liked him.
I agree, same.
He's not a Premiership footballer. At most, he's a Championship footballer. But he has that eagerness and willingness to go above and beyond every time. If he loses a ball, doesn't matter where he is on the pitch, he will chase that ball down. If he messes up a cross, he will keep trying. The man, you can tell that he enjoys playing football. You can tell that he enjoyed playing for Manchester United. And the reason I say enjoyed is because I've not seen him on the pitch for a good while.
Enjoyed, there's a report out he's gone to Valencia or something.
No. Realistically, he's never going to see the day, match day again, as long as Wan-Bissaka's there.
Yeah.
And it's not fair on him. But at the same time, to save us having to buy yet another player that we're never going to buy, I'd say keep him there just to keep Wan-Bissaka on his toes to make sure that he doesn't fall that far behind, knowing that there is someone there that eager to take his place.
Interesting. So keep Dalot.
Yeah.
I am torn on this one because this was a Jose Mourinho signing, and Jose never really used him, which is very confusing. I remember the first time he actually started a game, or he came on. He played for United, and he put a cross in for Lukaku, who didn't expect it, so he didn't really run for it, and then he just looked like, "What? We got good crosses at the club now. What's going on?" So. I think it's harsh what's happened to Dalot. I think he's very good at crossing. I would have liked to see somewhat of a Wan-Bissaka defensive and Dalot forward right on the right-hand side if we didn't get the players we wanted, or Dalot being the second fiddle. But it seems like Ollie doesn't like him for whatever reason. I know he's got his bout with injuries this season, so that's not played in his favor. We have seen Timothy Fosu-Mensah chosen ahead of him. Fosu-Mensah has been solid for the times he's played for us, to be fair. I think there may have been one or two bad performances, but on the most part, Tim has been good for us, which leaves Dalot in this weird purgatory place because he's now, third, fourth fiddle? And now people are saying Brandon Williams is a right back and not left back, which means Dalot might be the sixth fiddle. I think ultimately Manchester United has way too many defenders. Jones should be gone. Bailly should be gone. Darmian has been gone. Darmian is gone, finally. Yeah. Rojo should be gone. And I think, unfortunately, Dalot has to go as well. So I'm setting Dalot. For the first time, we don't agree, and that's very interesting. But we do have the same reasoning. We do have the same eyes on the same pitch here. And fifth, finally, last but not least, can you guess who I'm going to say?
I'm hoping I can.
Fred.
Oh, okay. It wasn't who I was hoping for.
Who do you think I was going to say?
Maguire.
Oh, I know you want to tell him. You already answered that one. I had to take off the list.
Okay, Fred. First couple of seasons, I would have said 100% sell. There was no doubt in my mind. Never good enough for United. The man could only pass in a straight line. He couldn't receive a ball from anything other than a straight line. He is essentially a pole with arms.
Wow.
His first couple of seasons. You can't deny it. If a ball came into him at any angle other than to his feet, he didn't get the ball. Every time he passed the ball, he would stop in place, he would turn his body and pass in the direction he was passing.
Awful flashbacks.
Like, everyone in the world could read that. There was he was an atrocious signing.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
easiest midfielder to mark. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, what were you saying?
He was probably the easiest midfielder to play against.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Literally, all you have to do is, what way is he facing? Oh, he's passing over there. He never did anything other than that. Thankfully, though, in the time that Pogba was injured, whatever kind of training he went through, it worked. He could pass in a way that his body wasn't facing. It was like magic. And I feel it was very unfair to drop him in the way that he was dropped for Pogba, Matic, Fernandes.
Yeah.
Realistically, in this team, obviously, it's good to have squad depth, but he's not ever going to get first team football with the players that we currently have. So I'd have to let him go.
Oh, you're selling.
Unless things drastically change, unless we bring in new talent, Fred's not going to be getting first team football unless players are injured. And the thing is, the players that we have been bringing in aren't necessarily for positions that we've needed. How many centre mids do we need?
So mad. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we could essentially field an entire attacking squad made of purely centre mids.
You're not wrong.
And it's like Fred is just going further and further down the line. Same with Delay. And unfortunately, Fred, as good as he was becoming, he's just not good enough for me to want to keep around. Because my fear is, if he doesn't play for another 6 months, does he revert back to that player who faces the way that he passes?
Yeah. Ooh, so you're selling.
I'd sell him, yeah.
That is interesting. You've made very good points. I would agree. I think Jose signed him because of his performances against Man City in the Champions League, and Pep wanted him apparently. So Jose went in to buy an opposition signing. He has not shown anything that has warranted him a Manchester United spot other than this season pre-lockdown. So yeah, if you're asking me before lockdown, I am saying sell, but he has put in some really good performances this season before lockdown. Obviously, post-lockdown, he got bid for Pogba. If Pogba is fit, Pogba plays, and that's just the way it goes. He's one of the best midfielders in the world right now. Like, you can't drop Pogba. Like, yeah. And that's unfair, but that's the way it goes. For me, I think one thing I've noticed about Fred is I think he needs to be played into form. So like he won't give you a good performance in that first appearance or that second one, but maybe from the third and the fourth and the fifth, he'll start like linking up with McTominay and doing these really cool balls forward into the box and stuff. For me, I would keep him just for the squad depth.
Okay.
He's not gonna displace Pogba or Fernandes, and that leaves Matic's position, which maybe he could grow into, but I don't see that happening in the immediate future. But I would keep just for the squad depth because we've got a lot worse midfielders like Pereira that we should be getting rid of, and Lingard who we should be getting rid of. Yeah. All right.
I'll just before we move on, I'd like to make a counterpoint though. Because bear in mind, for a centre defensive midfielder, Fred is quite small.
That's true.
And he's also competing with McTominay.
Yeah, and I think Oli does like players with a bit of size on them, which is why he's opted for Pogba 6'3". Matic, I think he's 6'4". Fernandes is definitely at least average height. I think he's 6 feet tall. I can fact check this real quick. 179, 5'10". So he's at least average height.
Yeah, he's just below 6 foot.
Yeah. So Fred, who's 5'6", is a tough sell. And you've seen Gomez, who's about 5'3". He got released. He never really played in the season. And I can't blame Gomez for opting out.
Oh, it's difficult. But...
All right.
Okay.
Now, sign or don't sign. I'm going to give you 5 players we've been linked with.
Okay.
I'm going to take one out because I think he's signed for Arsenal, but I'll come up with someone. But we'll start with number 1, the most obvious. Who do you think I'm going to ask you?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. Jadon Sancho, sign or don't sign?
Okay. So, he's a good player. No one can deny that. Obviously, there's the age-old argument of he plays for a farmers' league.
Yeah.
Just because he's good for Germany doesn't mean he's going to be good in the Premiership. The only players that really come across well are players from the Spanish league to the English league. Generally, players that come from the French, Italian, or German leagues don't normally cut it in those 2 leagues. Obviously, you do have your miracle men here and there, but for the most part, it's normally either goalkeepers or reserves.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. Like I feel the price for him is massively overboard. Like they signed the boy for I think it was 9 million.
Yeah.
and you're asking for 120.
That money, man.
Yeah,
Profit.
but
Got me that COVID money. We're in recession now.
yeah, but no one's got it. If you're thinking like, oh yeah, I can pay my electricity bill if I sell this one player.
Yeah.
Where do you think they're getting the money from if they can't pay their electricity bill either?
Yeah.
Like we had to drop Sanchez for free just to try and save on wages.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
to get that little bit of money back.
Got that
Yeah.
bum out here.
Like if we had an option, do you not think we would have tried to sell him for like 20 million? try and get a little something.
Yeah.
Looking at the price alone, I'd say no, but we need improvement. He's a good player, so I'd begrudgingly say yes. But it's only the price. It's the price that puts me off so much.
Oh, you sound like Joe Glazer out there. All right, the price, I'm not feeling it.
No, but is it like from the beginning of the stream? Yeah, look at the players. Look at the level of players. Yeah,
that's true.
Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale was significantly better than Sancho is when he got sold to Real Madrid. Granted, he may not be anymore, but that's because of the situation with his manager, and he likes playing golf. Again, you look at Pogba, you look at Luis Suarez. Yeah, these are players that have put in the time, they've put in the effort, they have got you time and time again match wins, goals, trophies. Now, obviously, I'm not saying Sancho isn't a good player. I'm not saying he hasn't got them goals, but how many trophies have Dortmund won?
That's a very good question. I actually don't know. I know they bottled the Bundesliga last season, not the season that's just gone, but the 18-19 season, because they were at the top for a very long time. But yeah, they didn't win anything.
So they may have won a small cup here or there, or like whatever, but they're like Dortmund aren't the team that they used to be, and you can't expect a player for a slightly lesser team, granted if it is one of your two best teams, to be selling for that kind of a price.
That's fair enough. But you're signing him.
Yeah, I would sign him.
For me, I would sign him. 120 million is a lot. I think that's euros, but that's a lot in pounds still. But we have the money, pay it. That's it.
Oh, we don't have the money though. We don't
have the money. That's it. We took out a loan. We've got some profits. Do it. We're good for it. Barclays, HSBC, they can do the thing. Give us like 300 million on loan and stuff, and we'll get we'll pay them back when COVID's gone. Like the owners, the Glazers, I think they just bought Tom Brady for the American team. I don't know how much they spent, but if they could buy Tom Brady.
To be fair though, like American sport is wild with cash. Like absolute, like you think football's big, yeah? The kind of profits that NFL and stuff like that bring in, boy, like that kind of stuff is mental. So I think I saw something a few months ago. It might be wrong by a little bit, but the chicken consumption alone on Super Bowl day, yeah, something around the 1 billion mark for chicken consumption. Now imagine all the beer, all the shirts, all the everything else. That's just chicken. Yeah, I ain't ever known a football stadium to sell out roughly 1 billion in chicken.
That's population, though, isn't it? That's just that's a massive market out there. Way bigger market.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a fair point. But for me, we need to improve. We need to improve. And Sancho improves us. That helps us with fluidity. It helps us with depth because Greenwood is coming into his own. He's better than any other team we've had in the United first team. Like, he is so skilled,
Yeah.
and he is he's a first teamer for me.
Yeah.
And I think actually we might have to bench Rashford for Sancho if we do get Sancho, if Rashford continues on this form. I think 120 is expensive, but we do have to get him. He left City to go play in a foreign league at a very young age, and you don't really see that. A lot of English teams will, stay at that club making that money, but he took that brave step. He didn't know the language. He didn't know whether they would play him, and he's really come to his own. He is one of the best players in that league. One of the best players in the team by far, and I think it is a free ticket for us because there was talk about Chelsea and they bought Ziyech. So no one, I don't think, really is in the running for Sancho. It's perfect. It's made for us. We are City's biggest rival. He needs to come to us so we can put the hurting on them every time we play them. And I think we're not going to play 120 all at once. We're going to play in installments.
Well, that's the thing, though. Dortmund don't want that. They want it all up front. And that's what's dragging this out so much.
They can suck a neck because that's not happening. They're not getting up 120 in one. That's not happening. It's not happening. Arsenal signed Pepe for what, 60 mil, and they're paying in installments. So Dortmund needs to understand that COVID has just destroyed everyone's pockets this season. Some clubs are in serious trouble because they haven't had that match day income, which is all they have. They don't really have that ad revenue that big clubs like we do. I think we need to sort out a deal whether we pay 80, 20, 20 or whatever. I think we just need to get that signed and get Sancho over here because a lot of clubs around us have got signings and we need to follow suit. So sign him, in my opinion.
Yeah. 120 million, man. So much.
Number 2 on the list. Can you guess who this is?
Koulibaly?
Oh, close. Well, it's Jack Grealish from Aston Villa.
Oh.
Sign or don't sign?
For squad depth, yes. Realistically, we don't need him.
Yeah.
I'd say if we don't sign Sancho, then yes, sign him.
Okay. Fair enough. Short, sweet, to the point. For me, Grealish, it's a tough one because I'm hearing Villa want 80 million.
Nope.
I'm hearing 80 million.
I'm sorry. Look,
and I'm just like, there's no way that we're paying another 80 million for an English player that might flop. Not for me.
Hit up some Argentinian side, yeah? Get an amazing player for 10 mil. Come on now. You know they exist.
Yeah. I would like for players to do this more, but I think the game has changed, so people have more respect for the clubs that they play for. Grealish could force a move. Grealish could turn around to the manager or the directors and say to them, hey, I kept you guys up. We could have been relegated. I could have been going for 20, 30 million. And I kept you up. I don't want to, go on strike or embarrass you. So, United are calling for me. I want to go. Give them a deal for 40 or 50 million, and I'll be on my way. I think the maximum United should pay for Grealish is 50 million. I'm not even 100%. I'm not 100% sold on the brother, but I hear that he is the guy. And if he is, we should, try to get him because that would be a great option off the bench if Fernandes is having a poor game or Pogba is having a poor game or, heaven forbid, one of them is injured. Grealish is perfect to take up the mantle and, fight either one of them for their spot. I wouldn't like to see him on the wing, I don't think. I would like to see him as a number 8 or a number 10, but sign him. If it's 80 million, don't sign him. But if he can get him for like 50 million, sign him. Number 3.
Okay.
Interesting because we said Grealish was too expensive. Donny van der Beek. And I would like to say that I think he's got a release clause of about 40 million.
I know him. I can't place him though.
Ajax.
Right, cool. Again, we don't need centre midfielders. We just don't. As much as Pogba doesn't like playing there, he can drop back to CDM. Like, if anything, we have McTominay as well. Like, we still have Matic for probably this season. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's past his prime. We don't need more centre midfielders, no. I'm sick and tired of these centre midfielders in this centre midfield based club.
So you're not signing Donny van de Beek?
No.
Ooh. For me, I would sign him because he'd be cheaper than Grealish and he can play the same position. It's the same argument for me with Grealish as in the squad depth. Pogba is going to give us a great game every game, even though he can. Neither is Fernandes. I would like to see Oli play more of a 4-3-3 with one holding midfielder. So we'd have Matic as the 6, in front of the back 4, and then Pogba and Fernandes in front as the 8s. But Oli's been playing 4-2-3-1 with 2 holding midfielders. So Pogba's been playing with Matic, and then Fernandes has been the number 10. I would like to see a return to the 1 holding midfielder and 2 box-to-box or attacking midfielders, and Van der Beek being either on the bench if Fernandes or Pogba are having a bad game, or for him to start if either Pogba or Fernandes are injured, heaven forbid. So I would get him. He's cheaper than Grealish. He's 40 million. You don't have to pay that stupid Premier League premium. I would get him. Quite interesting. I like that. We are starting to disagree. Now is the guy you mentioned earlier, Koulibaly. Sign or don't sign?
Okay, so the problem that I have for Koulibaly is his age. Like, you can get 1 or 2 seasons out of him, which would be amazing because he's undeniably a great defender.
Absolutely.
The problem with that is the price. The price for an investment that realistically isn't going to pay out. Now, God forbid, you do sign him and a Tottenham, a City, an Arsenal, kind of the rougher clubs decide to go in for him. And we've just paid a stupid amount of money for a player that we're only going to have for 2-3 years anyway, and he's now out for, 8 months to a year. Like, it's not worth it. If he was, say, 4 or 5 years younger, same price, yeah, I'd definitely go for it. But it's too much of a risk for someone that we're not going to get a good amount of time out of.
Fair enough. You're not buying him then?
No.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We were linked with him before we signed Maguire, and that was the time to get him. I think Napoli wanted 90 million. It's only 10 million more than Maguire. Maguire he's a good centre-back in my opinion, but he's not 80 million pounds good. I think Koulibaly was the player to get last season. It's funny because in Serie A, his stats are similar to Chris Smalling. So, yeah.
Look who's coming home, innit?
So there's someone we're getting for free. I think Smalling is going to force a move though. He doesn't want to play third fiddle. Roma, the fans respect him. He's done a hell of a job out there.
To be fair though, if what we said comes to fruition, he wouldn't be playing third fiddle anymore.
I think it's going to be tight. If Maguire goes to court or gets charged, I think he's going to be out of here. But yeah, I think either way, Smalling wants to play for a better place. Like Ashley Young went to Inter Milan and his hairline's come back. Lukaku's gone to Inter Milan and he's scoring left, right, and centre.
Yeah. Amazing goals. Every side, it doesn't matter.
I mean, some of those goals aren't amazing, but they're goals, and
Mate,
that counts.
his last goal of the season, you can't say that wasn't a good one.
Uh,
You know what I'm referring to, right?
no, I'm not.
No? The
No.
final?
Sorry, what?
The final. No?
No, I didn't watch that.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see the final. Sorry.
Do you want to quickly check who scored the last goal? The winner, if you will.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Ah, you're
He's sharing his skill with everyone.
you're an evil guy. How can he score the winner for the other club? Ah,
That's just how good he is.
That's pain. Oh, thank Conte. But yeah, Koulibaly's too old. He's 29 now. He's not had the greatest of seasons. Yeah, there's no point in us getting him now. What we needed was De Ligt. We didn't get him. I don't think there's any point in getting him now. He's not getting game time in Juventus, I don't think, or he's not doing well. But he's not making waves. That's what I know. We've got to look elsewhere. Koulibaly's too old. Like, we see Ollie's trying to build a team now that's going to last 5, maybe 8, 10 years, and Koulibaly does not fit in those plans.
No.
No from me. Gabriel is going to Arsenal, so there's
I'm pretty sure he signed like a day or two ago. I'm pretty sure that actually did happen.
Well, until I see a picture of them in the shirt, it's always a bit funny. All right, let's do something else. I'm gonna add 2 players here.
Okay.
Former players of the club with some sort of buyback clause. 1, Wilfried Zaha. 2, Memphis Depay.
See, I always loved Depay. Always loved him. He was an amazing player. I feel like he was underutilized, especially for his free kicks. He was very similar to Martial when he was playing for us. He could play on the wing or up front. Obviously, with the current team that we have now, it'd be very difficult to put him back into it, because our front 3 are essentially carbon copies.
Yeah.
They're all fast, they're all agile, they're all quite slim. Same goes with Zaha, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, he's done absolute bits at Palace, but it's the same thing. He fast, agile guy, play on the wing, play up front. And personally for me, he didn't do that well at United. And I don't know how that would be taken from the fans. Like, would they receive him well? Because obviously they're being good at Palace is great. There used to be a big step from Palace to United.
There is, yeah. So you would sign Depay and not Zaha?
If I had to sign one, I would sign Depay over Zaha, simply for the respect I had for him at playing for United. But realistically, I wouldn't sign either. I said, because we already have so many players like that.
That's interesting. Memphis never was my favorite player to watch. He just wasn't it for me.
Okay.
I know he's done great stuff for Lyon now, and I'm really happy for him. Whether I would buy him back, I don't think I would, just because I think he plays predominantly in the middle now.
As far as I know, yeah.
And we already have Martial there, and that's a bit sticky. But I think I would buy Zaha back.
Okay.
So this is interesting. Although I agree with you, his time at United was not great by any means. David Moyes pushed him out the club early for rumors and stuff. Whether those rumors are true or not, that's a different podcast. But Zaha, I see him at Palace, and I see him translating those skills to United very well. Like, he can play on the right, he can play on the left, he can play in the middle, but we need someone on the right, and he could fit there very well. He has experience with Wan-Bissaka, so that is a partnership made. Zaha has said Wan-Bissaka is someone that just can't get past in training. So them working together would be, a match made in heaven, in my opinion. And Wan-Bissaka proves that you can join us from Palace and be a good player. Obviously, post-lockdown, different story. But pre-lockdown, he had the ball rolling. Zaha is one of the best dribblers in the league. Quite funnily enough, he's actually one of the best dribblers in the league. He's one of the most fouled players. So we'd be winning a lot of free kicks and penalties for Bruno to put away. I think he's a good player. I don't think he got a crack at the whip at United because he played on a really bad manager, and I think he has matured. He's a better player now than when we signed him originally. So I would guess, and not Memphis.
Fair enough.
All right. Good stuff there. That was really good. It wasn't as quick fire as I thought because, there's like something with every player. Well, it's never like I didn't put anyone that would just be yes, like Pereira, because that would be yes. Next question, isn't it?
Or Ronaldo.
Yes, next question. Yeah, I guess you want to round things up with the Dream Team.
Oh, okay, so my idea for this was United players that are still, obviously with us, and then the ones that we've sold and, like you said, would bring back. So what formation would you have, and who would they be? So ones that haven't retired yet.
Okay. Oh, ones that haven't retired.
Yeah, so you could pick the likes of Zaha, Ronaldo, Schweinsteiger.
That makes it hard for me because whenever I do this, I always include the all-time United player list.
Okay.
So I have Van der Sar in goal, but I can't do that now. All right, in goal it's got to be De Gea because Van der Sar's retired, Schmeichel's retired, and I think De Gea at his peak is probably the best we've ever had because the centre backs he was playing with have been diabolical. He alone has been the reason why we've got so many clean sheets in that season when we finished second.
Yeah,
that was great, but he had Rio and Vidic to play behind, who were the best centre backs in Premier League history. So I'm putting De Gea in goal.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 4-3-3.
All right.
Oh, this is tight, man. No, okay. Right back is Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Okay.
Who's there in left back? There's Luke Shaw.
It's got you got Daley Blind.
Oh crap! Yeah, you're right.
You have.
It's got to be Blind for me then.
Oh no, Patrick Evra's finished now, isn't he?
Evra's done.
Fabio.
Yeah. Ooh, well, I can't remember which one, but one of those twins I didn't like. He always got red cards.
Oh, that was Fabio.
I think, was it the Champions League game?
Where he rugby tackled someone?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's all that. Like, no, get him out. I don't even know which one it is, but get them both out there.
That was left back.
Shocking. Left back's got to be. Oh, are we talking right now or
No. So if you're using their forms now, then obviously you're never going to play the likes of Schweinsteiger or anyone like that. It was if they were in their prime and they're at United.
Okay. At their prime, I'm going Blint at left back because he was so technically gifted. Jose couldn't see it. Van Gaal misused him. He gave us that wicked goal in the World Cup with Van Persie doing the Flying Dutchman. So Blint at left back. Centre back, interesting. Lindelof is one of them.
Okay.
Because he's very good at the ball. He's a very intelligent footballer. He's a bit weak, but I think we're a strong centre back. If we're going with peaks, I'm putting Baye next to him. When he's healthy, can do 30 games a season. Baye and Lindelof, those are my centre backs. CDM. If we're going with people who are, I don't even know, man, because I did not have enough of Schweinsteiger in the Prem or Schneiderlin. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna regret saying this, Matic for CDM.
I mean, it's a good shout though. He's not a bad player.
He's not a bad player
He's
at all.
not a bad player.
Bit of ruggedness about him, and I saw him in that last World Cup where he was a second away from fighting an entire bench of men. He is the guy for that alone. He's very good. There is a stat out there that when he plays, we are less likely to concede, and whether or not he's a slug on the ball, he does have a reassuring presence for players like Maguire, Lindelof, and Pogba. They can leave that area to Matic, and he's a force. He's good in the air, he's good on the ground, and he's just a bit old now. But Matic for me. In front of him, this is where it gets a bit. But if I'm going with current form, it's going to be mostly the current team. This is bad.
Well, that's what I said. It doesn't have to be current form.
I mean, like players who haven't retired yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Pogba's there because he's one of the best players in my opinion. Like Pogba's there. You know how annoying it is? I would put Di Maria on the other side. I would put Di Maria as the other 8.
Okay. So you're doing a Van Gaal, yeah? But
oh no, wait, that's what Van Gaal did, isn't it?
A speedy guy in the middle of the pitch.
I know, I'm getting my things wrong. I'm remembering wrong. Oh no.
The fact that you wouldn't even play Bruno over Di Maria is amazing to me.
Ooh. Okay. See, I got my players mixed up. I thought Di Maria was put at the wing, but was better than number 10. I think I'm thinking of Kagawa, who was better at the number 10.
Yes,
and he was put out to the wing. And the same thing happened to Mkhitaryan. So I would put Bruno Fernandes on the other side, partnering up with Pogba. We've seen it already. He's a real captain. Penalties, free kicks. He can have a bad game, and he's still in the goal score sheet, and that's a sign of a really good player. He's got a very good mentality. Yeah. So it's Pogba and Fernandes. Left wing, Martial.
Okay.
He's one of the best players he got. I rate him so highly. Right wing, Greenwood, because I like him. He's techie. He's I don't know what it's called when you're ambidextrous with both feet, but
I think it's probably the same.
Is it? I thought ambidextrous is just double-handed.
I don't know.
Maybe, but he can play with both feet. People don't know what his foot is, which foot he is, but I think he's left-footed, which helps him being on the right wing because players like to invert, come in, and then shoot. So Greenwood on the right wing, Ronaldo number 9.
Of course.
That's it for me.
Right. So
how about you?
There's a few players I'm surprised you didn't pick.
Maybe I'm forgetting, and you're gonna remind me and be like, "What am I thinking?"
Well, I'm assuming you've all with at least one of my centre backs. So I agreed to gear in goal with with the picks that we have available. I was very torn between Wan-Bissaka and the informed right back Valencia because that one season he did absolute bits. No one was getting past him. There was just no stopping the man. So I'm going to have to go with Wan-Bissaka as much as I love Valencia. For left back, actually, am I going to go with Wan-Bissaka? You know what? No. No. I changed my mind. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have the twins. I'm going to have both of them.
Oh.
Yes.
They get red cards every game, fam.
It's worth it. Mate. Rafael on the right, Fabio on the left. It's got to be done. Centre backs. Now, this is a very tricky one for me because the first one is a blatantly obvious one. Gerard Piqué.
He didn't play for us, did he?
Yes, he did.
Really?
He was in the 2007-2008 European Championship side. I think he may have been on the bench though, but he was there because we got him, and then Ferguson was like, "Oh no, he's not a good enough player. Send him back to Barca." You mug.
Oh dear.
Yes, he had blonde hair at the time.
That's crazy.
Never forget that.
Yeah, never knew that.
And then this is the second centre back. Because we've had so many bad centre backs, but again, I'm thinking of like one season form realistically.
Right.
So I'm probably gonna have to go for Smalling.
Okay.
Because there was like that 1.5 to 2 seasons where the man, you just couldn't get past him.
Yeah.
It's just the rest of his career was a bit questionable.
Like when he's playing well, he's one of the best out there that we've got. But he's so inconsistent.
Yeah. Because when we first signed him, I did not rate him at all.
Yeah.
It took a good couple of years for me to even consider that he's a decent player.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't mention formation. I'm going for a 4-4-2.
Okay.
Keep it classic. So in midfield, I'm going to go for the pairing of Fernandez and Schneiderlin.
Is Schneiderlin still playing? Oh yeah, Everton, right?
Oh, actually, is he still playing? No, because I know he went to France. I'm sure he's still playing. Hold up.
I think you're right. Apparently he's gone to Nice. So he's in France. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. So Schneiderlin, my defensive midfielder. So even at 4-4-2, he will drop back.
Okay.
And Fernandez would be the one to move forward.
I was going to ask in a diamond 4-4-2 or a flat 4-4-2.
So I prefer the flat 4-4-2 because you get coverage on both sides, and obviously both players can push forward or back, but you can kind of like prioritize who's going forward realistically.
Yeah.
But then it's never just one person's job to hold it. Like the other person then has the responsibility to also fall back if it's needed.
Yeah.
Because I hate the shaming of like, oh, you're there. It's like, well, you're a few yards in front, man. You could also make the run.
Yeah.
My left mid is a very tough decision again, because on my 16th birthday, I think it was the day before, Nani did the party trick against Arsenal.
I thought he might come up for yours.
Nani was massively underrated, but at the same time...
Bruh. I think the thing is, when Nani was... It's the same thing with Smalling for me. When Nani was playing his best games, he was arguably as good as Ronaldo.
Yeah.
But there was so many games where he went missing. There were so many games where, he was inconsistent. And I think that is what my memory of Nani is. Inconsistency, but a great player.
Yeah, so I'm torn between him and Martial.
Okay.
I think the party trick for me alone, like Nani's skill on the ball, you can't really measure it with the players that we have now.
Yeah.
So I think that would give him the edge on the left wing. For my right wing, I'm going to go for Ronaldo. And you're thinking, wait, like Ronaldo not up front? When you hear my front two, though, you're going to be like nostalgia all the way. Yeah.
Okay.
First one, Wayne Rooney.
He's not. He's playing.
Yes, he is. He plays for Derby. He plays for Derby, fam.
I'm so finished. You know what? Yeah, I thought you retired.
Nope. Now this one you might also be shocked by. Alongside next to him, Mr. Carlos Tevez.
No way, he's playing.
Yes, he's still playing. He is still playing.
Who did he play for?
He plays in Argentina. It's the blue circle, the circle, the white, and then I think it's got the gold in the middle. I can't remember what team that is though.
I am absolutely done out here. Oh yeah, Boca Juniors.
Yeah. So yeah, Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, Nani. Wait, I'm bringing it back.
I think I would argue that the '08 United squad was the best.
So I actually saw a Monday Night Football,
Mm.
and they had like a point system and everything whatever set up. And the only team for English football that was apparently better than our '08 team was the '80s Liverpool team.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because they won, I think it was like 2 Champions Leagues and a Europa League in the space of 3 years, where we nearly did that, but then Barcelona happened.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola happened.
But,
But yeah, that is really good. I forgot that Rooney and Tevez were still playing. Yeah, I think when we had Rooney, Berbatov, Tevez, Ronaldo, that was like our peak. Teams were afraid to play us. We scared teams like Chelsea and Arsenal. Like, yeah.
without a doubt. Because like, one thing I miss about the 4-4-2 formation is like if you lose the ball, there's always someone else to pick it up. Like especially in the final third and the middle of the park. Like
Yeah.
if the front 2 miss it, then you have 4 players to come pick that ball up and get it right back to them.
Yeah.
And formations nowadays, they don't prioritize in getting the ball back immediately.
Mm.
They more prioritize in getting it back to their third and then building up again. Oh sorry, watch the hiccups.
Right.
Yeah, and especially with the squad that we had at the time, like, oh, it was so good.
Mm.
So many good memories.
Yeah. It's mad when you think about it. We could have won the treble in '08, but we messed up in the FA Cup. So that would have been really nice because I was a bit too young for the '99 treble. So like really take it in. But the '08 double, like, yeah, Arsenal fans didn't like me that year.
No, in my science class in secondary school, because obviously Torres was around at the same time.
Mm.
And yeah, I sat next to a Liverpool supporter, and he was always like, "Oh, Ronaldo's rubbish. Fernando Torres is going to be the #1 player in the world." Blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, "We won Europe."
If you give your friend a ring and be like, "How's that shout doing for you?" Oh, very nice stuff. I think we covered everything.
Yeah. So I think this was a good introduction overall.
Yeah. So, you know why we are United fans, who we are, and yeah, you've heard our thoughts on this season. Who you think we should sell? Who we think we should buy? And what you think the best ever United squad is out of players that are still playing. I forgot the old Rooney and Tevez, but it's been a good first pod, I think. Yeah.
Well,
That's it.
hope you all enjoyed. This has been the Red Devils Advocate. Again, I'm Sean.
I'm Andy. Sorry, I saw your hand, but it went off screen. I was like, what are you doing, man? It wasn't caught by the camera. I'm sorry. It's all right. Oh, yeah, but catch you on the next one.